Hello everyone. Uh, Welcome to the course. Special topics about hardware security and trust. So I am Navidul Mustafa, your instructor for this course. So today we are going to keep our lecture light and short relatively. So the purpose of the lecture is just to introduce myself, introduce the course, and then talk about some logistics, course logistics, right? So uh, let me first introduce myself. Uh, as most probably you know, I'm an assistant professor at the Computer Science Department of NMSU. My email address is as listed here, num@nmsu.edu. So you can reach to me if you have any question or inquiry, or you are facing any difficulty in context of the course. Right now, I am not in Las Cruces, so that's why the course will be conducted in hybrid mode. However, if during the semester I am back to the Las Cruces, then I will let you know. And my office is Science Hall, room 170. Uh, can somebody please confirm if you can clearly hear me and you can see my screen? You can send a text. Yes, we can hear you and see you. Thank you. Okay. Uh, uh, I got my education like from different places. PhD from Turkey, master's from Sweden, and bachelor's from Pakistan back in 2006. Okay, there is some text. Okay. And in terms of research interest, I am working in areas related to computer architecture, persistent memory, and within the persistent memory, our work focuses on developing system support for persistent memory devices, and enabling hardware support, and focusing on the security of the persistent data. Uh, my recent work are this in recent past. The work which we performed or which we did is also covering the distributed persistency, which basically talks about how to store in a reliable way the persistent data on a distributed memory architecture. And currently, I am exploring a project in the domain of trusted execution environment. So these different areas actually cover different layers of uh, system research, covering the layers of applications, operating system, and computer architecture. So in terms of like mm, intensity or intense in terms of like highest relevance, I'm working at the layer of computer architecture and then operating system, and then some little bit work at the application layer. Uh, in terms of academic experience, as I said, currently I am at NMSU. Before that, I was doing a postdoc at University of Central Florida in Orlando, Miami, in Florida. And before that, I served in different capacities, like as an assistant professor or as an instructor in three different universities of Turkey. And before that, I was also serving as a lecturer at NUFAST, which is a university in Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan. During my PhD, I did some industrial internships and like different companies in Ireland, Spain, and in Sweden. So that is like a brief uh, introduction of myself. So now let's talk about our course, uh, 4996 or 5996 Spring 2026 offering. So, as you know, this course is about hardware security and trust. But like as a layman or as a person, the natural question I can ask is that why security is important, right? So the security basically mean to protect the digital infrastructure and the data and information which is available online. And why it is important? Because uh, the security breaches which we are facing, uh, like in day-to-day life, they are increasing both in terms of their number and in terms of their damage which they do to damage done by them to the data and private information or data of the internet users are uh, all kind of online available data. So, for example, here we have an example of security breach, a cyber attack, which happened in 2017 with name of Equifax data breach, and it basically affected 8,000 Canadian citizens and 147.9 million US citizens. So that is around 44% of the US population was impacted. Uh, then there was another security breach with the name of Medibank. Actually, I have notes which give more detail about them. So let me open that. Yeah, now you can see also the notes on the right side. So, for example, the Equifax data breach, it affected millions of people. And Medibank data breach, it costed $46.4 million of damage. Similarly, there was also an attack on the Colonial Pipeline network. Uh, so the annual impact of cyber crime is increasing, as we can see from these few examples, and it was estimated to reach $10.5 trillion in 2025. Therefore, uh, this actually highlights that why it is important to make our digital infrastructure and the data secure such that it cannot be breached and cannot be used for malicious purposes. Therefore, we must understand security attacks in a proactive way, that is, before attackers design and launch them, and build protection mechanism to protect against those security attacks. So that's why cybersecurity is an active research area. And let me just go back to the normal mode. Yeah. So that's why uh, cybersecurity has become an active research area, and this is evident if you simply, for example, search for that keyword of cybersecurity on Google Scholar. You will find that there are 63,300 results for this keyword since only 2025. So, and if you search for the keyword of hardware security, you will find 72,300 results for the same for this keyword since 2025. So this is just an indication of like mm, how active or how hard this research area is currently, and how many people and uh, industries are working to address the challenges in the area of cybersecurity and hardware security. This is also clear if we look at the data, which is data about the government spending on cybersecurity. As you can see in this chart, which is for the financial year 2017 to 2024. So the spending by US government for cybersecurity are to fund the research and the companies in the cybersecurity is constantly increasing. Uh, from 2017 to 2020, and then you can see some drop, but again, the uh, overall figures, they are huge. And like all of these figures are in billion of dollars. Uh, for example, just to also highlight how actively the NSF is, National Science Foundation is funding the research in the area of cybersecurity. If you go to the NSF website and search for the keyword cybersecurity, or you want to find the proposals which are focusing or which are actually mentioning the keyword of cybersecurity, you will find that there are currently seven active uh, proposals and 64 archived proposal in the area of cybersecurity as of January 2026. So all these slides or all this data actually shows us that cybersecurity and hardware security, they actually affect or impact our daily life. And that's why both the academia, industry, and the government, all of them are actively involved in developing the protection mechanisms to protect the data against breaches, and also to understand how uh, digital hardware can be exploited to launch security attacks. So the question is that what is cybersecurity anyway, or how we understand it? So cybersecurity is defined as the preservation of three characteristics for the online available information, and those characteristics are providing the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. So later, when we will be in the later part of the course, when we will go through the different kind of research with different research papers, you will understand what we mean by confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Uh, and but this, we need to keep our information confidential and guarantee its integrity, and also need to make sure that the information is available. But in complex environments, where we assume that different people, software, and services, they are interacting with each other. It's not like our data is sitting in a disk and we are worried about that. No, it is available. People can access it, people can manipulate it, people can share it, and still we want to make it, if needed, we want to keep it confidential, and we want to protect it against unwanted changes or unwanted modifications, and we also want to keep it available when needed. So this interaction between people, software, and services, it is assumed that this interaction is being done using technology devices and connected networks. So that was about cybersecurity. However, our course is about hardware security, right? It is more focused on hardware security and trust. So what is hardware security and how it is related with cybersecurity, right? So historically, hardware security has been referred to as hardware Trojans. So what are hardware Trojans? These are malicious or intentional modification of a circuit design that results in undesired behavior when the circuit is deployed. So for example, uh, when you are designing, let's say when you design a processor, and then you send your design to the fab, and they fabricate the chip for you based on your design, but then they can make some malicious intentional modifications in your chip design and your processor design, so that they can achieve their malicious objectives as a result of those modifications. So as a result of those malicious modifications, what happens is that infected ICs, they may experience different kind of unwanted behavior. For example, uh, uh, as a result of that modification, you may see a change in functionality or specification. So, for example, let's say the chip which you have designed and the design you have shipped to the fab for building the chip, uh, you specified in that design that, for example, your processor is, uh, let's say, processor consisted of 8 cores, and instead of 8 cores, maybe they have still 8 cores, but one of those core is of lower processing capability. Maybe they didn't create the pipeline with the required depth which was specified in your design, and then they intentionally uh, lowered its features. Or maybe they incorporated a new special component in your chip with the purpose of leaking the information. So when you are using that processor, so the data which is processed by your processor, it can then be leaked to the people who are actually fabricating your chip. Or they can uh, they can still, for example, they don't make changes in such a way that they are not adding any new component, and they are actually building your chip according to the design but with degraded performance. So that was about Trojans, right? So, however, in modern days, hardware security is not equivalent to developing the hardware Trojans. So it goes beyond that, right? So, loosely speaking, in modern days, when we talk about hardware security, it covers all the attacks which exploit the hardware and mechanism to protect against them, right? So all hardware-based attacks, uh, they fall in the domain of hardware security, and all the protection mechanism against those hardware-based attacks also fall in the domain of hardware security. So, for example, uh, if there are attacks which exploit caches, memory, or microarchitecture components like prefetches or speculative execution for launching security attacks, then all these attacks, they fall under hardware security, and then also all the protection mechanism against them are also within the domain of hardware security. So by completing this course, we what we want is that what we expect is that by completing this course, students will be able to understand that how computer architectural components can be exploited for launching security attacks, and build an insight of developing defense mechanism against hardware-based security attacks. We don't expect students to uh, design a new defense mechanism against a security attack, but uh, we expect them to know that what are the main features or what are the common characteristics of the existing uh, uh, security mechanisms for hardware protection mechanism against hardware-based attacks, so that they can readily identify that if they are developing a new hardware, then they need to incorporate those defense mechanism in that hardware. Also, you should have, we expect that students will have an understanding of what microarchitecture side channels are and how they are used to launch the attack. Similarly, we will also talk about cache side channel attacks, what cache side channel is and how it can be exploited to launch a security attack. Uh, uh, we will equip you with the knowledge of memory-based attacks. Again, cache is a kind of memory, but here in the learning outcome 5, by memory we mean for example, the random access memory, the the data holder from which caches read the data, right? The lower level of memory under the caches are below the caches, right? We will also talk about, or we will cover the speculative execution-based attacks, and how we can, how the protection mechanisms can be used to protect our data from speculative execution-based attacks. We will also understand and study the row hammer attack, And then as the eighth or the last outcome, uh, by the end of the course, a student will have an understanding of what a trusted execution environment is and how it provides a security mechanism to protect against uh, uh, attacks, security attacks. So there are large, like many of the terminologies or many of the terms used in this slide, they are not familiar for you. You are not familiar to them. So, but it's fine because I know that at least in computer science department, there is no uh, hardcore course available about computer architecture. There is only one course which is like CSCI 2230 assembly language and what is this assembly language and computer organization or hardware organization. But the thing is that that course is more about only a microcontroller. So it doesn't covers even the basic stuff about the computer architecture. So if that's why I'm saying, like, if in this slide you have seen many terms which are like new to you, for example, speculative execution, or for example, microarchitectural components are side channels, so you don't need to worry about that because in this course, when we will be covering a research paper, so I will actually divide it into two components or into two parts. So in the first part, I will first try to cover the background knowledge which is needed to understand the main contribution of the paper. So you will be fine with that. Okay. And even like after that, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to ask. So let's talk a little bit about logistics. So as I said, you can contact me at my email, num@nmsu.edu. The course will be in hybrid mode. So basically, all the lectures will be online. All the assessment items, they will be conducted online. Uh, my office hours are from on Mondays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And again, I will conduct my office hours online. So I have provided the Zoom link for that here in lecture slides and also on the syllabus page of the Canvas. Timings of the lectures are, as you know, from Mondays on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. And again, lectures will be online. Zoom link is provided. There is no textbook for this course. However, we will read research papers. We will have we will cover nine papers. So our nine required reading. There are nine required readings, but you are welcome or encouraged to read other additional papers. And if you are interested, let me know. I will share more papers with you. Actually, in the last offering of this course, we had like 20 papers, but then I realized that uh, and 20 required readings. But then I realized that having that much paper actually doesn't leave us with enough amount of time to understand in and out of each of the paper. And like we were like kind of rushing. So that's why I significantly reduced the number of papers and uh, reorganized or rearranged the order in which we will be reading them. So again, this course is discussion based. It will be about more about reading papers and then sharing your understanding or your takeaways of those papers. Uh, and your performance will also be measured based on how well you understand the papers, right? And for that, we have like three different assessment items. First is your class participation form. So it will look like something like this. On the right side, it will you need to submit this form online at the end of the every class, other than this first class, right? So you will have to submit class participation form starting from next week. And so it will be at end of every class. So we have in total 428 classes, right? Or 28 sessions. So you will have 28 forms. But for the purpose of grading, we will count 24 best out of 28 forms, 28 submitted forms. So which means that you have the flexibility to perform, to not perform good on four of them, or maybe let's say someday if you are not able to attend the class and you skip the class participation form, you will be fine. So that is the purpose of like giving you this flexibility. So as I said, you will be submitting this form in last 10 minutes. Again, it will be online. And when I say online, it will be on Canvas. So it will be released in last 10 minutes, and you will fill this form, right? Based on what you did in the class. So make sure that you have your laptops with you when you are attending the class. Printed forms, I mean, I can place it if you want. I can place the PDF version of the form on the canvas. You can print it for yourself and then scan and send and submit it. But this is not a preferred option. But again, if you don't have a laptop and you want to submit this scanned version of the form, let me know. So let's have a look at this class participation form. So actually, you will have like 4 or 5 questions to submit to answer at the end of the class. So for example, the first question will be the statement of the question. Like what the purpose of the form is that we want to encourage you and motivate you to be active during the class and actually give your input when we are discussing a paper, right? So, or raise the questions. If you don't understand anything, you can ask, right? Or if someone else asks the question and you know what is the, and you want to respond to that, you feel free to do so. So, in this class participation form, you just need to state the question that you asked during the class, or statement of the question that you answered, right? Any suggestion you have to improve the paper, which is under discussion, which was under discussion in the class, right? Any strengths or weaknesses of the paper that you have identified or highlighted in the class, right? During the discussion, or any other comments you made in the class, right? Uh, so you you are like, I maybe I need to simply change some rules because this is like too lenient. For example, here you have 5 different questions, and if you answer only two of them, you get the maximum, right? Which is 100 score, 100 points, right? So I may change that rule here. If you can see, let me use the highlighter here, the pointer here. You get 100 if you fill at least two of the following. So I may change it when I will release the first class participation form. So when you are filling the form, please check this note at that time point. Like, what is the least number of questions that you need to answer? Is it 2 or 3 or 4, right? To get the maximum score. Any questions? No? Okay, the second type of assessment item is a reading note. So the reading notes, uh, they are different from class participation form in the sense that there are like the first difference is like you don't need to submit you are not supposed to submit the reading note in every class. uh, and because unlike class first participation form, which is required to be submitted at the end of every class. So reading notes, they will be you will need to submit them only on indicated dates. For that, you can check the tentative schedule on on the syllabus page of the Canvas. So, in the reading notes, you need to answer these different questions. So, first is like summary of the paper, right? So, reading note is like you first read the whole paper. Uh, And I will also let you know, or I will also give you some I will share with you some papers about how to read a paper. Okay, paper about how to read a paper. So it will give you some guidelines. Follow those guidelines, and following them, read the paper which is under discussion in the class. And after reading, prepare this reading note where you have to write summary of the paper. So it should be like two paragraph, each at least having five sentences, no more than two paragraphs, right? And then you need to also identify at least two strengths of the paper and two weaknesses of the paper, and at least one suggestion to improve the presented solution in the paper. So submission of the reading note will be due on selected days. And for to find which selected dates, you can check the tentative schedule on the syllabus page of Canvas. So in total, there will be 20 reading notes. All of them will be counted. Uh, they will also be submitted online. Uh, and when you are preparing these reading notes, please do not copy, rephrase, or use ChatGPT for preparing reading notes. I mean, definitely, if you submit a paper to an AI tool, it will simply summarize the paper for you. Or if you if you ask that tool, it will also give you the strengths or the weaknesses of the paper. But we don't want to do that, and that's why if there is a suspicion that someone used the AI tool and actually didn't read the paper, then as instructor, I can ask the students to have a meeting with me and discuss the paper so that and I can understand how well the student understands the paper. And then based on our meeting or based on our discussion in the meeting, the score earned by student, they can be modified. And by modification, it means it can go up, it can go down, right? And the other thing is that to earn the score on the reading notes, students must submit annotated version of the paper that they read. Otherwise, no score will be awarded, right? So uh, let me go to the canvas and show you what I mean. Remember, I said that I will share with you the resources on about how to read a paper, right? So here, how to read a paper, I have placed two different uh, readings about how to read a paper. So, for example, let me open this one and also maybe in the meantime, why the document is still processing. Okay, I have it on my laptop, so I can show you there from there. So, uh, this writing how to read a research paper. So it is about using a three-pass approach, right? So please read this because it will give you a very nice strategy about how to maximize your time in terms of like how can you spend the least amount of time and make it most useful, right? And so first read this one, and then other than that, I have also shared another document which is about how to read an engineering research paper. So some of the points which are highlighted in both of these documents, some of them are common, but then some of them are not. So you have some additional how to say additional tips or additional uh, strategies outlined here uh, about how to read a research paper in such a way that uh, it increases or it enhances your understanding of the paper which you are reading, right? Uh, I don't know why it says the document is still processing after the lecture. I will check why and make sure that these both of them are available online, right? So this was one thing, and other than that, I also there was something else which I also wanted to, yeah. So I also wanted to share with you example of an annotated paper, right? I have also placed this one online. You can check it. But here I can show you from my laptop. So remember, we said that if to earn the score on the reading notes, you must submit annotated version of the paper. Otherwise, you will get no scores or no points. Okay. And what do we mean by annotation is like when you are reading the paper, take the notes, write the questions. Like for example, when you are reading, there was some questions will arise in your mind. Write those questions on the paper. And when you continue reading and in the later section of the paper, you find answer to your questions, also note down those answers. If there is something which is important, highlight it. If there is something for which you need more explanation or which is not clear to you, write a question at that point, right? So, for example, here, see, I have placed a question here. I have written a question here at this time point, at this place. Uh, and here, this is just an observation. So if you have an observation, you can also write it down. Uh, Similarly, here, for example, when I'm reading this, I had a question in my mind. I simply retried this question and point it out. So the thing is like, we want you to be organized and we want you to take notes when you are reading the paper, but take notes in the electronic form. And then you are supposed to upload that. You are required to upload that annotated paper. Otherwise, you will not get any scores for the reading notes. Okay. Any questions at this point? No? Okay. So the third assessment item is paper presentation. So each student will present one paper or selected sections of a paper. I will explain because there is one paper. The first paper which we are going to read is a very long paper. It is like 118 pages, 118 pages. So we will be covering it in 6 weeks. So that's why the total number of papers has reduced down to now 9. But I will explain why we are covering a paper that is so long and why we are covering it at the start of the semester. I will come back to these questions later, but for now, uh, let's focus on the third assessment item, paper presentation. So each student will be presenting a paper or a section, selected sections of a paper, longer paper, right? So uh, the, in the presentation, the undergrad students, there are, I think, no grad student is registered in the course. All of you are, I guess, undergrad students. So you will have for the presentation 20 minutes. So first 15 minutes will be for presenting the paper and or the section of a paper, and the next 5 minutes will be for question answer session, right? And how I will grade your presentation. I think I should put this rubric or this table in on the syllabus page. I will put it there. But for now, I have placed it in the slides. So how I will grade your presentation, I will look at these different parts of the presentation. Motivation, like motivation mean have you uh, provided the motivation behind the problem which is discussed or addressed by the paper, right? Why it is important to address that problem, right? Then have you clearly stated the problem statement? Uh, have you shared the paper idea? I'm not talking about the complete solution, but the higher level or abstract approach which is used by the paper to address the problem, right? So then what are their main contributions? Explanation of results. Have you identified strengths and weaknesses? And have you placed any suggestions in your presentation for improving the paper, right? And on the right side, you can see the score for each of these components of your presentation, right? Now, again, let me go back to Canvas because so here you can see the guidelines for the presentation. For that, I have shared with you two videos. So this first video, it is basically a video by Professor Onur Mutlu from ETH Zurich. So in this video, he is explaining uh, the techniques or the approach to present or review a paper. So when you are preparing your presentation, you can benefit from this video. So it is like, I guess, 10-minute video. You can go and watch it. The next video, watch this simple is a simple paper presentation. So it will give you an idea of how a good presentation look like, right? So as I said, it should have all these components. A good paper presentation should have all these components: motivation, problem statement, paper idea, contribution, explanation of results, strengths, weaknesses, suggestions for improvements, right? Now, if I So here, if now I look at the tentative course schedule, you will see that initially we have this paper one, which we will be covering in weeks 1 to 6, right? So since it is a one long paper, so there will be some components which will be missing if you are presenting, like let's say if you are presenter one and you are presenting section 5.5 to 5.6 of the paper, right? So, and then in your presentation, maybe the motivation or problem statement. Uh, maybe explanation of results is not there, right? Because at that in that section, you are not covering or you are not talking about, they are not talking about results, right? So what you can do is that in all presentations, doesn't matter whether you are presenting a full paper or you are presenting a section of a paper, you must have motivation, problem statement, paper idea, uh, and uh, so if the first three components should be there. And then you can focus on, if you are presenting just a section, then focus on the section, right? I will update the Canvas page, and I will clarify the rubric for students who are presenting the full paper, and for the students or for the presenters who are presenting a section of a longer paper, right? So don't worry about that. But the point here is like uh, you need to where is that? Yeah, you need to have the motivation, problem statement, and paper idea in all presentation. Doesn't matter whether you are presenting full paper or a section of the paper. One more thing. Remember, we said that you will have to submit the annotated reading, right? So they will here in this column you can see that annotated paper reading will be due in the next class, right, on Monday, right? The but in the annotated reading, where is the form? Here, let me make it bigger. Here we said two paragraphs each, at least having 5 sentences. Summary of the paper, right? So basically, if we are we I ask you to write a reading note for a section of the paper, so it will be basically summary of those sections of the paper, right? When I will release the reading notes, I will simply rephrase these questions so that they fit with our requirement. So similarly, for example, if here instead of like two strengths of the paper, I can ask, for example, for two main key for two key takeaways of of those sections which I covered. Let's say section 5.5 and 5.6, right? So I will adjust this reading note accordingly. But for those cases where we have the reading notes for the full paper, the reading notes will remain the same as shown in this screen. Okay, so what is the question? Just to clarify, are we doing a presentation on a section of the paper that we are going to cover as a class, or are we doing a presentation paper of our own choosing? Uh, uh, mm, hmm. Okay, so okay, let me go back to the canvas and I can try to answer. So look here that we have in total nine papers. So first we have paper one, which we are covering in week 1 to 6, and then after that we have paper two, three, four. All of them are I have uploaded all of them, five, six up to nine, right? So the presentations here now I have placed placeholder presenter one, presenter two, presenter three. So presenter one will be presenting only section 5.5 and 5.6 of paper 1. Presenter 2 will be presenting 5.7 and section 5.7, 5.8 of paper 1, right? But presenter 7 will be presenting the full paper number 4. Presenter 6 will be presenting full paper number 3, right? So now it depends who you are. If you are presenter 1, you will be presenting two sections, section 5, 5.5 or 5.6 of paper number 1, right? Why? Because the paper number one is, as I said, is really long, 118 pages. So even like two sections are equivalent to a full paper, like for example, paper two, right? In terms of like length, the material which is presented, right? So did I answer your question? Okay, thank you. Okay, now let me go back again 2 slides. So, as I said, you for the guidelines on presentation, please check the syllabus page, watch those videos, both a sample presentation and that 10-minute video about the guidelines about how to review or present a paper. Okay, assessment policy. First thing, 80% attendance is mandatory. If you don't maintain 80% attendance, you will not be able to pass the course. Again, I'm repeating. 80% attendance is mandatory. Otherwise, you will not be, if you don't keep it, you will not be able to pass the course. Okay, so assessment policy, class participation form, we will have 28 forms, but we will count best 24 out of them for grading purpose. So the total percentage for 24 class participation forms will be 40%, which means that each form carries 1.66%. You will have 20 reading notes. All of them will be counted. You have total percentage of 40% for reading notes, 2% per reading note. And each student will be presenting one paper or a section of a paper. And the presentation carries 20% scores. Any questions? Grading policy. So for grading, I will use this letter grading. I will use this table. So if you're and we will be using absolute grading, which means that we will not curve the grades. So if your, for example, your absolute scores are between 94 and 96, both included, you will get A. If it is 97, between 97 and 100, both included 97 and 100, then you will get A plus. Before awarding or before setting the letter grade, I will add 0.5 extra absolute point for everyone. Uh, and the purpose or the motivation for doing so is to push the students who are on a boundary to the next letter grade. For example, let's say you have 96.8. Then if I give you an extra 0.5, you will move into the next bracket and you will get A plus, right? But if even after giving you an extra zero point 0.5, you are still ending up on a boundary, I will not give you any more extra zero point 0.5 points, because we need to stop somewhere. We cannot award, or we cannot give infinite amount of extra points, right? And as I said, I think I should also mention clearly, I will mention it, but let me say it here, that we will not be using curve grading, which means like, if in this course there is no student who gets A plus or A minus, and the highest grade is, let's say, B plus, I will not I will not shift the grades upward. So that is fine with me. If there is no A in the class, that is fine, because I want you to earn, uh, I want you to get a grade which you have earned. I don't want the performance of our class to impact the individual grades. So this is tentative schedule. I mean, I just placed a screenshot here. I can walk you through it on the canvas. Uh, hmm, uh, yeah, let me make this correction here. So remember we said that you need to present the paper, right? So when will a student be presenting the paper, or what is the schedule of presentations? For that, I have created a online sheet here. So what you can do is that you can go to this sheet, and I have placed the presenter number, presenter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on up to 12. There are 12 students. And then I for example, presenter 1 will be presenting paper 1, section 5.5 and to 5.6. The presenter 8 will be presenting paper number 5, right? So you can go ahead and book your slot. So you can write your name, you can, and your student ID to book the slot. So it will be on basis of first come first serve, right? And if a student has already booked a slot, please don't overwrite it. By the way, the best way, okay, students have already started writing, but what I would suggest is that at least first read the title of the paper which you want to present. And if it is like you can relate to it, you think that it makes sense to you, then read the abstract of that paper, and then book that paper or select that paper for presentation. Also, uh, let me check. Where did I editable? No, I think somewhere I set the date after which this sheet will not be editable anymore. Uh, why can't I find it? Okay, somewhere I set the date, but I cannot find it now. But anyway, I will make an announcement that when I will change the setting of the sheet so that it is not editable anymore. But for now, or after the lecture, you can go ahead and you can select your paper. Okay. So let me go back to the question which I raised earlier. Like, for example, you can ask why we are reading such a long paper. Like, I can even show you here. Uh, this one, the first paper, right? So it is like, if you can see at the top, it is 118 pages long, right? So you can ask the question like why we are reading such a long paper, and why we are reading it as like at the start of the semester, like, right? There are two reasons. First, this paper actually covers a lot of material, which is which I consider as the background information, and that background information is applicable not only to this paper, but also to many other papers which we are covering in this course. So if we cover this paper very well and you understand it, then it will become easier for you to understand the remaining papers like paper 2 to 9, right? One thing. Second thing, this paper is about trusted execution environment, which is one of our learning objectives. So that learning objective will also be covered. So we will be like, so it will be like more productive if we cover this paper at the start, because it covers so many things. So which are like uh, basic stuff about computer architecture. Otherwise, if we don't cover this paper, then when we are discussing any paper from paper 2 to 9, I may have to go back to the basics and explain things to you before you can understand the main contribution of those papers like paper 2 to 9, right? So it's better to first get the basic information or the background knowledge out of the way and then proceed with the more advanced or more uh, uh, research-oriented topics. That's why we are covering it, the paper at the start of the semester. Okay. So, any questions at this point? No. So I just want to give you some suggestions. If during the semester you have any trouble in understanding a particular topic or related to logistics or related to like any kind of issue you have, so we don't have TA by the way in this instance. Okay. Uh, since it is the research paper based course, I will strongly encourage you to form study groups and learn from each other, because it is quite possible that something which you are not able to understand, another friend of yours is able to grasp it, and then he or she can explain it to you, right? Uh, is it true that we have labs? No, we don't have labs. From where you got that idea? I mean, did I write somewhere in the syllabus that we have labs? Frank, do you hear me? Can you? I thought I saw it on the syllabus. Okay, let me quickly check it. I hope. No, no, we don't have labs. Okay. But if you see it on the syllabus, let me know you. Please let me know, okay, if you see it on the syllabus so that I can, if there is a mistake, I can correct it. Okay. When you are writing emails to me, please make sure that they are not subjectless emails and include your name, course ID specifically. I mean, because I'm also teaching another course. So if a student is writing an email and doesn't mention the course ID, it is difficult for me to know whether the issue is related with course A or course B, and then I need to go to the canvas and put the student's email ID in the people list and find out whether the student is registered in course A or course B. Okay, so please mention the course ID, and if you have a question or concern, then mention the lecture or the paper number uh, regarding which you have a question. Again, as I said, you are encouraged to study together, but not copy, which mean like when you are uh, developing your reading notes, when you are Yeah, the only thing which you will be doing offline will be developing your reading notes. So make sure that it is your own understanding of the paper. When you write the summary, it should summarize your understanding of the paper. When you list the strengths of the paper, these should be the strengths which are identified by you or according to your thoughts. There are some aspects which you can treat as strengths of the paper, or some aspects which you can treat as or consider as the weaknesses of the paper. Okay. Okay. Uh, that's all for now or for today. If you have any questions, let me know. And by the way, I will strongly encourage you to read those. Where is this? Yeah, read this one. The three pass approach. At least read this one. How to read a paper. At least read the three pass approach when you, because it will be very helpful to prepare the reading notes. So remember, now your first reading note will be is due uh, on Monday at 3 p.m., which is the time of start of the class. So you need to submit it before the time of the class. I haven't yet opened the submission or the assignment, but I will open it. However, you can start reading the paper, right? So you need to read section 1 to section 2.5. Okay. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. If there are no questions, then that's all from my side. Okay, then have a nice day.